Good morning from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's the 8th of March 2024 and it is 11:26 a.m. and I slept in a little bit this morning. I thought, bugger it, I haven't been sleeping much and up peeing all night, so I'm going to treat myself to lying in a bit. So I feel a bit refreshed and had a lot of love flowing to me between the hours of 8 till 10 when I kind of got up. I was sort of not fully sleeping but kind of dozing in the twilight zone. I was feeling all this energy being sent to me. So whoever that person is, that was very sweet. Thank you very much. And if it was a spirit, even sweeter, because you can trust usually in the spirits, but can't always trust in humans. But anyway, it was very lovely lying there, feeling coddled and immersed in deep love. Just thought I heard my gate go, so that's weird. Must have been someone else's gate. Anyway, that threw me a bit. There's nobody there. Did sound like my gate. So today concludes my personal 10 days of AWE, fullness, with constant triggering and memories of my family of origin, because it starts with my de facto stepfather's birthday on 28th of February and goes right up to today, 8th of March, my grandmother's suicide, and I get really emotionally fucking hammered and triggered, and it can be a bit awful, but I haven't what was that? It sounded like a truck doing something. So anyway, yeah, it's a truck. Anyway, where was I? Yes, I usually get very hammered, but this year I've sort of ridden through it, I think, quite courageously and salubriously, because I'm used to it now, and shouldn't be used to all those old triggers and traumas, but it is what it is, isn't it? It's my life as I know it. It's what the gods gifted me, and so they can keep soaking me in sweet love and compensate for all the hell they put me through. That would be nice. I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. I'm very blessed. Do you like how I manifest positivity out of shit? Anyway, so I am grateful and I am blessed, all sarcasm aside, because I'm alive against all the odds, and I do have good, kind human spirits in my life now, living ones, and the dead can't really hurt you. They can just keep poking at you and tweak you a bit, and it's up to you how much of it you take notice of and how much of it you block out, like the block delete function on the internet, right? Sometimes people dead human spirits can be very annoying, double keen. But anyway, on a positive note, I'm going dancing tonight and I'm looking forward to that. And there's also the 5 Rhythms dance happening between 7 and 9. And I considered going to that, but if I go to that and dance for 2 hours, which is intense, ecstatic type dance, I'll be too tired to dance for my handsome, talented men alter egos tonight at the club. So I'll have to conserve my energies, and so I'll probably choose, knowing me as I know myself well, I probably will choose to prioritize my beautiful, handsome men who I have been dancing for 13 years. So, but we'll see. If I feel excessively energized by 6 p.m, I may go to the other dance as well. But boy, oh boy, that would involve 5 hours of solid freaking dancing, interrupted by a 2-hour break in between. So I have to think about that. I've got to stretch out my energies as far as I can, given that my health's always precarious and I'm struggling with these bladder issues and my usual complex PTSD issues and my usual obstructive sleep apnea issues. So I literally have to bank energy exchanges of how much I give out and how much I expend, because otherwise I pay for it for the next few days. I will be completely depleted. So there is that. But anyway, excited about my dance on my Friday night dance, as I always do. Always excited about that. It's good to be out in the world one night a week, as I call it, living my best life. So, and it's become almost a calling now. Like last week I had spirits basically sending me messages about how the night was going to go, and I was like, yeah, whatever. And then they actually did come true. So I don't know who that entity was, but at least they were trustworthy, telling the truth. So, maybe this evening I'll get more messages and I'll be guided appropriately. Or maybe it was just, a one-off, as happens from time to time when my guides or my spirit people decide to lift me up and give me extra encouragement. I know I was having doubts as to whether I was going to go out last week, and they were kind of encouraging me, saying, no, everything's going to be fine, and this will happen and that will happen. And I was a bit astonished when it all manifested. And so that was delightful. I like it when I have good communication with my unseen angel entities, and it did feel angelic, that one. It didn't feel human. It felt more higher vibration because it was telling me the truth, whereas the lower vibration entities, well, can be either downright malevolent and mischievous and lie through the skin of their teeth, or they can just, you can usually tell by the energy that there's something not quite right, usually, not always. So that's why I was a bit doubtful last weekend, and no, turned out to be astonishingly accurate. But if I can build up a constant communication, not constant, wait, I need my own psychic space, but if I can build up regular, accurate, truthful communication, I might even be able to give readings, psychic readings, sometime in the future, but I would have to develop a really trusting, constantly validated by evidence, proving that the link is clear and pure and true. Otherwise, I will not give readings. I had many people demand readings off me in the past, and I said, I will not give readings until the time arises that I am both clairvoyant, which happens now in small glimpses of things, both clairvoyant and clairaudient, and can guarantee that my communicators are of the highest, holiest vibration and speaking truth, because there is nothing worse than giving readings to people who are vulnerable, desperately seeking answers, and you unwittingly are feeding them nothing but lies and deception. It goes against all my ethics and morals and principles, because my mother used to do that. My mother was giving really quite evil readings towards the end of her career as a tarot reader, and some of it I wanted to just find the client and run up to them and say, don't believe a word she just said, it's completely rotten and evil. But they would have been, hopefully used their own discernment and realised she was batshit crazy and malevolent, or they would have been so broken they would have taken it on board and believed it, right? That's what worried me, that they might actually believe that bullshit. Like, telling gay men that they deserve to get AIDS, for example. I mean, she was savage. I would have just punched her in the face. But, people who pay money for readers tend to put a lot of faith and trust in them, and then to be abused in that way, it's just beyond reprehensible and evil. So you will never see me do anything like that. Number one, I'm not a bigot. And number two, if I tell you something from my heart that I perceive to be the truth, it will be the truth, or I say nothing. I'd rather say nothing and make no comment than say something that I don't know from my own soul is the absolute truth. I can be very blunt and can be very, hit you with a ton of bricks sometimes. But if I see that you need to hear something for your own safety or your own well-being, I will hit you with it. But only if I know in my heart that it's the truth and it's for your highest good. So I kind of do things like that, but it's not in the form of like giving people readings and taking money for that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. There's an intense energy exchange, and all psychic mediums who deal in that level of work, spiritual work, need to be paid in some way, even if you just don't have money but you give them a gift of something. It's very important to pay your way when you're dealing with the spirit world, because it's kind of a contract that you enter into. And that's why it needs to be noble and honourable, that you are making sure that your spirit communicators are, of pure intent and holy and high vibration, because you're often dealing with people that are sometimes living very fraught and dangerous lives, as I was at one time when my life was saved by a psychic medium warning me that I would indeed be attacked and strangled and that I would need to go within to survive it. Had I not met that woman, had that particular reading at that particular point in time, I would not be alive today. So, but her messaging, although it seemed evil and malevolent because it was quite dark and sinister and negative, turned out to be the absolute truth. Everything she said happened as it happened. She even warned me not to fight back because I will be murdered. And she said, I know it's in your natural instinct, Tanya, to fight. She said, in this situation, if you fight back, you will die. And I didn't understand it at the time because I couldn't imagine that event ever coming true. But 3 weeks later, it came true, all right. And I was in a situation held over a balustrade, over a balcony where, indeed, if I fought back, he would have just snapped my neck. So I was astonishingly shocked that that came true, but also grateful to that wonderful woman. Her name was Anastasia. Wherever you are, Anastasia, you veritably saved my life with that message. So what I'm saying to you is there are people who are genuinely gifted and can actually see the future as it plays out. And if they try to warn you of something, obviously use discernment, but sit up and take notice, because it can be the difference between life and death sometimes. But anyway, that's the other reason why I don't give out psychic readings frivolously, because it's a gift given literally by God and the angels, and it needs to be nurtured and cherished and protected and actually constantly built on that level of trust. And if you start doing corrupt things like lying or making stuff up because you can't get anything and taking money from people under false pretenses, then you lose your gifts. That is a cosmic law, people. Every psychic worth their salt that watches my videos would have just gone, true. So I'm building a relationship with my people, my spirit people, because they saved my life when the COVID epoch started, they warned me, don't buy into the bullshit. Literally those words, very earthy words, because they know I'm an earthy person. Don't buy into the bullshit, Tanya. Don't buy into it. And didn't actually give me the nitty-gritty details of what exactly was happening, but enough to let me know to trust no one and to follow my own intuition, which I did do. So I'm grateful to you, angels, very grateful. And like I say, they've kept me alive against my own will at times, so I'm grateful, but I'm also a bit like, why? But here we are. Another day in paradise, am I right? I'm right. So today's readings are heavy, as it's my grandmother's suicide date. And that's the last of the 11 days this year, because we had a leap year with the 29th of February. So it's the last of the familial horrors for, I hope, for another year at least. And, you know, there's not much else the gods can take away with me. My dog died last year, and my last of my daughters that kept in contact with me abandoned me. So I think I've done the familial traumas for the last, few years. So hopefully that's all behind me now, and I can move on and rebuild and invite beautiful souls into my life who do adore and cherish me and treat me with kindness and respect and honour, and will be there for me in the good times as well as the bad. And it's just as a basic minimum requirement of what I want from people in my life, right? Be there with me. Rejoice with me in the good times. My earring's still sitting not right. And let me know that I can trust you to be there with me in the bad times. Unfortunately, a lot of my true beloved friends are suffering burnout because there's been too many bad times in my personal life history. But by the gods, when I celebrate hard, and I'll be celebrating tonight, my darlings, as I do every Friday night. So today's readings are entitled Memories, 8th of March 2024, Grandmother Memories, Strength that supersedes the physical, and an ironclad will is not quite enough to get me through some days. I need to forgive my aging body and my weak lungs, and breathe. Here's a photo of my mother's mother. I don't look much like her, actually. And she had green eyes, my mother said, and black hair, and her hair stayed black until the day she suicided, so at 54. So she was a very beautiful woman. In north of Germany, she had unusual looks, because in the north, most people in Germany tend to be blonde and blue-eyed. Not always, but what was unusual about my grandmother was her elegance and her bright green eyes with dark hair. The men literally used to follow her down the street. That's how exquisite she was when she was young. And my mother, the narcissist, also had that, what I term jokingly as the it factor, where men would follow her everywhere too, or pop up like shadow puppets. It was astonishing, people. Many times during my childhood I would say, can you just get away from my mother? It was really annoying. But my mother was also very charismatic and exciting and charming, so she always referred to my sister and I as, oh, you're so boring and prudish. Well, we were like that due to, trauma and watching the embarrassment of having men trawl after our mother all the time. So apparently the same thing used to happen with my grandmother, who was a very respectable woman. But anyway, I write here under the photo, my badly scarred grandmother. I've got something wrong with my eye this morning. I just had a shower. I think I've got eyelash cord and it's driving me nuts. It's really hurting. So I keep poking at my eyes. Can't stand anything wrong with my eyes. So I'll start again. My badly scarred grandmother, Eva Meyer, who was injured during a bombing raid because my vain 15-year-old mother, Gisela, refused to go down to the shelter without removing her rollers. So Eva kicked her down the stairs, then ran back to get a blanket because it's very cold in the air raid shelters, cold and damp and terrifying, by the way. And just as she got upstairs, the glass conservatory exploded from a nearby hit, so the glass lacerated Eva's face. Gisela always felt guilty about this, but it was lucky her mother had not been killed. This occurred in 1943. Eva suicided. You're not supposed to say that word. You're supposed to say unalived, but I don't believe in playing with perfectly good descriptions of normative wordage for what an event is. I won't play those sick, twisted games. This is my personal history. So, my grandmother Eva suicided on 8th of March 1945 after having suffered late-stage tuberculosis, widowhood since April 1945, and a lifetime of mental emotional problems. You change the language about something, you try to make it into something less real or more palliative to someone's non-sensibilities because they're not even human, then that is to me an act of outrage and cowardice. Use the real words, people, for real life events in real human lives. I come from people that survived World War II, and the only thing I got from them, the only backhanded gift they gave me was courage and decency and owning my own authority and my own words, even though very often I swear like a sailor denied shore leave. Those are my words, and if I'm swearing, it's how I'm expressing my emotions in that moment. So that needs to be respected and honoured and not cleansed and sanitised and delegitimised and undermined, by the way. Eighth of March 2023. I posted a video from YouTube, so it would have been one of my own videos, very likely. Doesn't have the title what it was, so we won't worry about that then, will we? No, we won't, because you're already watching me on YouTube. You can look at all my videos, and all you're going to see is a very, very fierce, determined Mama T strutting her stuff and telling her own personal histories for the edification of what I don't know. I don't even have my own posterity or progeny. No grandchildren, no great-grandchildren. My line stops with my daughters. Thanks to our governments. You bastards. You bastards, what you did to us. I was looking forward to being a grandmother, by the way, even at this late last hurrah stage. It was still vaguely possible, but you even tore that from us. And I will never forgive you. Never, ever forgive our governments. March 8th, 2022. I woke up at 10 a.m. and decided to mow the lawns with my new hard-won, self-propelling lawnmower. It's only the second time I have mowed my own lawn after many years. I forgot it nearly killed me years ago too. I only managed to get half the grass done. I hyperventilated and had to stop and hold on to the fence and gasp for breath. Pardon me. My lungs don't have the capacity for any physical or hard labour. I was hanging onto the fence, crying in frustration, while my heart palpitated, red-faced, feeling like I might vomit or faint. My neighbour Warren approached me and asked gently if I was all right. I told him that I feel like I am dying and I can't even manage to mow my lawns as I lack the strength and lung capacity. That I have realised there is nothing wrong with my lawnmower, but it's me that lacks the strength. I was still heaving for air. He told me to stop mowing immediately and to wait until it cools down in the late afternoon. It's 34 degrees Celsius today. I had no idea it was that hot. There was a lovely breeze at least. He told me to drink more water and forget about the mowing for now and said, I know you are a tough old Jew, but you need to stop pushing yourself so hard, Tanya. I had to laugh. I said, you are right. I have that ghastly German, Polish ethic of Arbeiten machst du frei, and that is just so monstrous and a lie. Work doesn't make you free. It kills you. I took his kindly advice and went back inside to rest until the next onslaught in the afternoon, as I literally, physically cannot cope with the lawn mowing. Gah. But I am proud of myself for trying so hard to keep my home and garden maintained so I can live in relative peace and safety, even with my useless lungs. All this without having contracted COVID or submitted to being vaccinated. I would not have survived either of those things. Well, I did catch COVID last year in 2023 in October, and I did survive it remarkably well. I think I've lost a tiny bit of cognition. I feel like I've slowed down a tiny bit, but whether that's because of the COVID or whether that's because of the constant lack of sleep from my bladder, I don't know. Anyway, I am strong in mind with an iron will, perhaps like my ancestors, but my body is failing me as I age. The declension is not coming gently. I'm fighting it tooth, hair, and nail every single day. 8th March 2019. Here she is, asking to not be forgotten. Die Mutter von den alte Hexe, the mother of the old witch. Giggles. The power is in us all. To be better, not bitter. To overcome, to love, to live, to become. And She was a beautiful woman, my grandmother, but she had a definite mad cast to her eye. Definite madness. And the old eyeballs. That photo was clearly taken when she was younger though, and before all the scarring happened to her beautiful face. And I mean, I never met her. She died in 1949 and I was born in 1965, but I know all the stories from my mother about how brutal she was to her, and I look at her and I think, what would it have been like to have met her? Would she have treated me just as brutally? Makes you wonder. I see it's where I get my thin lips from. She's got very thin lips. She's got more of a cupid's bow here, more defined. Anyway, what can I say, people of Earth? It's a lovely dress. She did her own sewing. Bit of lace. She had quite a nice shaped bosom from what I can see there too. She wasn't fat. She always kept herself very slim. She was extremely vain about weight. And the ironic thing is, you know, my mother and myself were always mocked and derided and scorned by my half-sister, and my grandmother mocked and derided my mother for her tendency to overweight. And my half-sister was always savage to me about being fat. And then my younger daughter, Jasmine, is the same, always looking at me with scorn because I'm overweight. I mean, it's kind of a fucking form of insanity to be so judgmental of someone else's form. Like, how does it impact on your day if I happen to choose to be fatter? But no, they starved themselves to the point of savagery and insanity, writhing and bitterness and cynicism, and and really what's wrong with them is they're just fucking hungry and need a good feed, right? But I must not eat because I'll be fat and I'll be ugly. It's actually insane how they behave. But anyway, they walk around like this, feeling like that's success, and I laugh at them because I know they're savage and bitter and vicious people and psychopaths, and any glamour or elegance from being the perfect size 10 is wasted on them because their souls are still black and they're desperately unhappy people, and they project their viciousness and their ideal of perfection of the perfect figure onto other people who... I could be slim if I exercised every day and ate very small amounts of food and healthy food and regimented myself to the point that I was a lean, mean, fighting, fucking machine. But I don't want to. I want to enjoy my life. I've nearly died so many times in my life since early childhood that I want to eat the good things and enjoy them and take delight in them. No purging or vomiting them up after, and no self-abnegation for me. Starve me, people, and there will be unholy terror. Never let the psychedelic dreamer, the Tanya, go hungry. Just saying. I was starved enough in infancy. So, and as my psychiatrist says, you keep your Bodicea padding for good reason. Yes, any moment, in any given time, if I have to go to war, I need the extra padding. Throw some oath over my shoulder, which has happened in the days in Irish movies in the pub. Some lout jumping on me used to happen quite regularly, actually, and I'd just shoulder them to the floor. Fucking idiots. They see the sweet little docile old lady and they think, oh, I can bully and victimise her. I can crush her. No, don't try that at home, boys. Will not go good for you. My rage can be quite quite frightening at times, even frightens me, but I keep it always under very tight control, and I only unleash it when I'm under direct threat. So there's been enough evil shit happen to me as a younger woman for me to stand by and tolerate even the slightest misbehaviours now. As I say, I kind of contain it because, one has to live in polite, civilised society, does one not? Look around you, people. See how polite and civilised it really, truly is. Today marks the 70th year of my grandmother, Eva Augusta Meyer, née Kissau's suicide. A beautiful but disturbed woman, a brave woman who hated the Nazis, but in her own home was a violent harridan, almost worse than any Nazi. A street angel, home devil that spawned another one. Intergenerational trauma, compounded with war trauma, compounded with loss of country, home, safety, culture. Domestic violence spawned a mother and grandmother that, although my mother proclaimed to be a staunch feminist and a Labour supporter and a unionist, was a monstrous hypocrite, when it came to protecting or defending her own daughters. Yes, she was a monstrous hypocrite indeed. Although my grandmother kept a wireless radio tuned to BBC, a capital offence in Nazi Germany, and went to the holding camp in the middle of Hamburg and threw Wurst, which is, big thing of salami, and bread to the prisoners there, screaming, "Down with Hitler," opened the door to a family friend, a communist, who arrived gaunt and broken, all his teeth smashed out by the Gestapo for not ceasing to distribute communist propaganda. It was he who informed my shocked grandparents about the concentration camps and the final solution. Eva begged him to stop. He had been imprisoned and was barely alive. But he refused to stop fighting for freedom. He lost his life in a concentration camp. But at home, my grandmother bet my mother, my own personal monstrosity. Of course, this was long before I was born, people. With a cast iron belt buckle, and she was constantly covered in bruises. Another story she told me, her mother once stomped all over her with the metal tips of her stiletto heels. I mean, she was really brutal and savage. My mother escaped to the south of Germany, Bavaria, by signing up to look after orphans bombed out in the many blanket bombings of Hamburg. That was how she survived, not just her own precarious, violent, crazed domestic situation, but avoided the white phosphor bombing in the summer of July 1943. You can Google that story. I think it's called Fire in Hammerstrasse or something like that, but Google white phosphor bombings, July 1943, Hamburg, and it'll come up, and it's a horrendous, it's a war crime what happened to the German civilians at that point in time during the war. It was horrendous what was done. And the whole suburb was levelled and no one was ever allowed to build there again. I think there's a park there now and in memorial of the civilians that lost their lives there. But anyway, I continue. We saw this in a dream only weeks before. She, my mother, Gisela, saw this in a dream only weeks before and begged my grandparents to leave the city, which eventually my grandparents did, sleeping on the outskirts. Both sick with tuberculosis, but it was a searingly hot summer, so they were safe, sleeping in a farmer's field, while their entire neighbourhood was a molten inferno from the heat of the white phosphor. The roads melted and people threw themselves into the river. Bodies shrank, as my mother had witnessed in her dream. She dreamt of people's bodies the size of dolls, about, 2 feet long, just charred to charcoal, still smoking. And that's exactly how she saw it, and that's exactly how they looked. White phosphor is one of the most evil war crimes you can commit on any people on earth. They still use it in wars sometimes. It's completely evil. It's disgusting. So my daughters and myself, who never experienced World War II firsthand, but inherited plenty of war trauma from my paedophile concentration camp survivor, de facto stepfather, and my Nazi regime surviving mother, are alive only because of my mother's gift of precognition and courage and determination, guts, if no glory. I am a Jew, in spite of my ancestors and their predilections to genocide and child abuse, in spite of my domestically perverted upbringing, in spite of what? A God who rarely had my back as a child, growing up with 5 inadequate, monstrous caregivers, predators and their protectors. So excuse me if I might have to scream now. They all got away with it, as did my abusers and slanderers in the Brisbane Jewish community. Good and evil. I have danced amongst the most utter shit stains of humanity and risen above it, barely keeping my own mind and soul intact. But I did it fiercely, courageously, lovingly, guided and protected by good, kind people. The Banshee can wait, my other ancestors, slavishly drooling underneath my window. If there will be screaming, it will only be mine. Screaming for vengeance, for peace, for healing, and for the sweet, sweet release of eternal love and light. I have seen it coming, the rising of the divine feminine, the Shekhinah, for she holds me precious, soothes my inner wounds, staunches my fear and horror, and mollifies my fury. She gifted me rabbis who fought for my honor, and my humanity. Not one, but three. The power of three. The irony not lost on me. She gifted me good, strong, loving friends, 2 daughters, and myriads of unconditionally loving pets who saw me and cared for me when no human could. She gifted me spirits and dreams and hope for another kind of existence, free of my abusers. And so it is. Thank you, Shekhinah. Now the great work continues. Get everyone else safe and free too, please. No fucking cognitive dissonance here. I operate in a society that is still highly abusive and murderous to women, to asylum seekers, to children, that still turns its back on the disenfranchised, marginalised, the vulnerable, that is still funding wars and other atrocities. Well, we all know how that turns out, those of us who survived the broken and the damned. So breathe. We got this. Let us rejoice in creating a new paradigm, one soul at a time. Switch on their light and see the immense beauty and goodness still out in the world. Even if it is only the size of an angel dancing on the head of a pin. Exponential potential, magnified 1,000,000 trillion times, is still real, authentic, and sanctified. Hold on, we've got you. You there, lost in the terror, in the loneliness, in the false facade they force us to embody. Psychedelic dreamer sees all. Her prayers reach the heavens, and Hashem, in his own timing, so bloody frustrating, but always, always miraculous when you are on the perfectly folded seam of time and space, when confluences occur that heal and bring magic back to our lives, has always, always come through for me. It took 47 years to cast out the daemons of my own suffering, personal and interpersonal. And like a dickhead hag, I did attract some new ones, but I am learning to disconnect from evil attachments much, much quicker. The false lovers can only turn up to watch me swirling in their own dynamic light. Quantum entanglements. They cannot quite let me go. For I loved with all my being, and I love him still. I grew sick and tired, desolate and broken, lost and forgotten, but love grew back again and again, until I distrusted even my own heart. That is when God stepped in, showed me who is real and true, and reminds me still, who and what is truly mine shall always find their way back to me. But I shall accept no further abuse, no further betrayals. So, Baruch Haba'ah, that means blessed be he who comes, as in arrives, not the other kind of coming. Just saying. But beware, the Tanya has ancient Viking bloodlines, Jewish angels, and who knows how many other ancestral warriors, mages, and true lovers guarding her now. So, the one who is meant to be my partner better not bring any further shit with him. I am not afraid to remain alone. It's not so bad, winky face. 8th of March 2018. Happy International Women's Day. Today is the anniversary of my grandmother Eva Meyer's suicide in 1949. So it kind of repeats a little bit, but I'll read it anyway. She was brave and audacious, kept a radio tuned to the BBC in her apartment during World War II in Nazi Germany, which was, by the way, an incredibly dangerous thing to do. Could have got my mother and her husband and herself instantly shot. So she liked to take risks, my grandmother, I suppose. Threw food over the barbed wire to a camp in Hamburg, but she was also a home devil with severe proclivities to violence and frequently bet my mother Gisela black and blue. She was covered in bruises, my mother, many, many times during her childhood. A severe agitated depression, schizoaffective disorder, complex PTSD, I will never know. But she was much loved by my mother in spite of her violence. My mother spoke of Eva taking her foraging in the forest and gleaning from the edges of farmers' fields, which was quite legal. You were farmers allowed you in Germany to take from the very edges, and any fruits or produce that was left behind was actually left for the public to take, which was very kind, especially in wartime when food was so precarious. Then making preserves for the German winters. She spoke of her sewing her own corsets and brassieres, and my mother's very early memory, aged about 2, of rocking inside the case that covered the Singer sewing machine while singing to herself while Eva sewed. When she told Eva that she remembered rocking in that case, my grandmother said, "You can't possibly remember that. You were only a very tiny little, baby, like toddler at the time." And that was her earliest memory. Eva had several Jewish friends before the war. Some were opera singers. Eva was born illegitimate in the Charité Hospital in Charlottenburg, Berlin. So I believe, but cannot prove, that her biological father may have been Jewish. Her mother later married and had more children. So she would have grown up with a great deal of stigma as the eldest child, as a young child, being illegitimate in Germany. She was born in 1894. was, or was it 1898? I think it was 1898. I think it was my grandfather that was born in 1894. But anyway, it was a huge stigma, even up until the 1960s in Irish Catholic world, to be illegitimate, and in New Zealand even, was the worst thing that could befall you. Now it's like nobody raises an eyebrow, you know. But in those days, it was immense. So maybe that helped form her psychoses and violent rages. I don't know. Don't know what that was about, but anyway. My great-grandmother, Eva's mother, visited Eva and Gisela a few times during her childhood, but Gisela said she believed them both estranged. So goes the long history of violence, betrayal, estrangement in our family line. Women need to love and support each other, as many of us were unmothered, unwanted, and neglected and or abused. If we don't reclaim our divine feminine, then we are doomed as a society. Now, I haven't written here about my great-grandmother. I just sort of alluded to that my mother thought they were estranged, but I do have a memory that I will share. My mother said that her grandmother visited her one time when she was about 8 or 9 from Poland. My great-grandmother was Polish. And she had knitted thick woolen stockings for my mother. Hand-knitted stockings, right? Because in Poland and Germany it's very cold in winter, it snows and it can be bitterly cold. So that seems to me quite a reasonable sort of gift to want to give to your grandchild, you know, woolen stockings. But my mother resented it so much because being wool, they itched, and she spent the whole time trying to tear the stockings off. She really hated those stockings, and even my grandmother Eva thought it was kind of a peasant kind of thing to give to her, you know. But anyway, I can see my great-grandmother's logic, you know, wanting to make sure she had something warm to put on her legs, protect her from the bitter cold. But she said that you could cut the air in the apartment with a knife. There was so much tension between Eva and her mother, so she didn't stay very long, I don't know how long she stayed, but she didn't stay terribly long. She sort of got the hint she wasn't all that welcome, went back to Poland, you know. But anyway, yeah, it was just that memory about her hand knitting these stockings and my mother complaining how much they itched and how much she hated them on her skin, you know. And I'm kind of the same. I don't like wearing things that make my skin itch and crawl, and very sensitive skin as well, so there is that. But anyway, today is the last day of my personal 10 days of awfulness, the conglomeration of yahrzeits and birthdays of ghouls from my past. Zombie Tanya is gonna shake it off. Oops, there goes a flying fuck. My birthday next month, so I need to focus on that. I must always have something to look forward to. Also, Pesach, which is Passover, and Easter. I missed out on celebrating Purim, although I might have had a drink at the casino to mark the occasion. So, yes, don't even know when Purim, whether we've had Purim or not this year. I've lost track of it all. But yeah, Easter's coming, which means Passover's coming. So I've probably missed Purim again this year. Anyway, I celebrate my life every Friday night on the Holy Shabbat by dancing wildly and have my 4 Jack Daniels and let it all hang out, shake off it all, including the flying fucks I don't give for all the bullshit of my progenitors and my husband and his family as well, and the former lovers. I literally shake those bastards right out of my hair, and every now and then they come still to leer at me. Not my ex-husband, he wouldn't dare, but former lovers, and I just look and think, there you go, you are acopic, inadequate fuck. You know, men with no couth, couldn't treat me right, still leer after me after all these years. It's kind of comical, really. Sad and tragic, but also a bit comical. Like the one that still stalks me at red lights and crossroads, and yes, that one particularly kept that up for years. Sad ass. I have to laugh because I cherished that love for him for much longer than I should have too. So I'm a sad ass too. And now the gods are showing me who really does love me and who is sweet and heartfelt and sensitive and sincere and truly a good and kind and decent man. And then the sadness is he's not available. Oh. But anyway, I rejoice in my true friendships with good, kind men. They are more deeply precious than 1,000 wild, passionate, sexual lovers that vanish into thin air only hours or days later. Just saying. Rather have a true friend than a fake lover. 8th of March 2017. Can you imagine how amazing it would be if I ever found a true lover that actually was deeply, truly in love with me and sincere and built a life with me? I can't imagine it. But stranger things have been known to happen, people. Even though I'm an old lady now, stranger things have been known to happen. 8th of March 2017. Pinched sciatic nerve in left butt cheek. Ouchies. I keep smelling cigar smoke today. It is not my dad. He was a virulent anti-smoker. Weird. Perhaps my pop. He was known to smoke a cigar at Christmas, but I don't know why he would be here, except to help my dad cross over. Funeral today. Maybe my pop came to comfort me too. My pop wouldn't, well, he knew his son was a dead shit. He referred to him as the runt of the litter. Why'd you marry the runt of the litter, Mitzi? That's how he used to speak about his own son. So there was no love lost there, trust me on that one. But my pop was a good man, a loyal, loving, generous, left me land in Waiheke Island even though my mother robbed me of it. My pop was a good, kind, decent man. And my cousin Megan in New Zealand validated that. She said she adored him. He was so good to her and her siblings, and he was a wonderful grandfather. The tragedy was I didn't get to see him very often because they lived up in Auckland, and was in Wellington, and spent 3 years of my childhood in Melbourne, Australia, and 6 months of my childhood cruising to and from Germany, and the time spent in Germany, right? So it was a lot of time when I wasn't physically around. Here's a photo of my dragon fruit and flower, which is indeed blooming beautifully again, but she never fruits, she always drops all her flowers. And I never kill her, I just let her do a thing. Like, whatever. She doesn't want a fruit, she's not going to fruit. But she's just so triumphant every year, and I'm like, oh bless. Note to self, be like my dragon fruit. Even though there will be no grandchildren, there will be no fertility, no progeny, flower anyway, enjoy what's left of my life, and try not to give any flying fucks about the malfeasance and evil of our times, although it's hard and there's days when I grieve terribly over it. But here I write, do you think she might actually gift me with fruit this time? I just had a spirit, I'm trying to push it away. Did you see the look on my face as I'm like kind of questioning it? I just had a spirit say in a very quiet but firm voice, there will be grandchildren. And in my head I was replying, that's not possible, so don't give me false hope. But I guess there might be grandchildren in the form of I might meet a wonderful man who has grandchildren, or whose kids might be about to bring forth grandchildren, and they might actually like me, and they might include me in their lives, and they might, treat me as if I'm their, de facto grandma. That'd be nice. That's the only way it could happen, people. I'm realistic about it. But anyway, I was struggling because, again, getting messages in the middle of doing my reading for YouTube is a little bit inappropriate, guys. But they pop in quite randomly like that, and it kind of takes me by surprise sometimes. They just said, we are listening. All right, okay. We carry on. Sometimes it freaks me out that I'm getting these messages now, because it's that was so clear. Maybe they're just teasing to get my hopes up too. So I mustn't get my hopes up. Must remain in real reality and real world, not in Titania's realm. You can get lost in the fairy realm, by the way. You have to always stay grounded in reality. But if it happens and manifests that I have grandchildren one day, that will be probably my greatest joy. No, let's be real here. My greatest joy of all will be to finally find my true love partner, or him find me, and prove and demonstrate by his words, actions, and emotions and deeds and intentions that he really is truly for me, stand with me, and be proud and happy to have me in his life, because I can't accept anything less. I've had enough malfeasant, lackluster, weak, inadequate, savage, vicious, cruel bastards in my entire life, and I'll be 59 next month. The gods prophesied that I will find my true love partner when I'm 60, or that it will manifest when I'm 60, but I don't even dare get my hopes up for that, people. So I've been lied to before by malevolent trickster spirits, so I don't believe anything until it's really happening, can be backed up by proof and or evidence and validated over and over again. And even then, I'll always be thinking, okay, well, this is lovely, but when does the shoe fall? That's how much trauma I've endured in my life. that I can no longer even trust when things are sweet and lovely. It's awful. Even my psych said to me on Wednesday, it must be bittersweet when lovely things happen and you don't know if it's real or if it will last long enough or if it's enduring or if it can be trusted. It is a bittersweetness. It's a kind of fucking horror too. But anyway, life goes on, people of Earth, and I've outlived my own expectations, and I've been immersed in my own magic of my own soul for long enough to know, with the grace of the gods, the Holy One in all manifestations, and my little quirky little spirit visitor that keeps passing on messages when technically they're not supposed to just jump in like that. But if they're genuine and from the light and telling me the truth, then that too is a great gift, that I'm being guided and protected by my holy ones. I gratefully accept the love that is extended or preferred to me by the ancestors that love me, not those seedy fucking progenitors that were filthy and debasing and savage to their own children, but I'm talking about the ancient ancestors that actually created us and wanted a better world for all of us. The deeply holy, nurturing, loving, protecting ones. And I know those ones have my back. I see it whenever a dangerous situation arises, how in an instant they surround me. I actually feel their presence, and it's a bit astonishing and frightening at times, even for me who believes in them. So here I write, getting all tingling in my ears, like it felt like the sensation was like when you get water pouring down past your ears, not into your ear, but just that sensation was unusual. Probably blood pressure. Let's not get too carried away here, people. Heidi, my half-sister's half-sister, so she's actually not a direct blood relation to me. She's my half-sister Angela's daughter of his second wife. So her father was not my father and her mother is not my mother. But Heidi has been a true sister to me, more than Angela. Always treated me with kindness. She's a devoutly Christian woman, very, very religious, and like me is prone to overweight, and she was born and raised in Germany and married a man from Sydney, a dentist, and she's a very sweet, kind woman. We don't have much contact except she comments occasionally on my Instagram posts, but her love is real. So I don't think she watches my videos, but if you ever do, Heidi, sending love to you, sweet girl, sweet lady. We're not girls anymore. We're a long time past being girls. We're well into our crondom. But anyway, she knows what I mean by that. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. It's just a slip of the tongue. Heidi sent me a message that Angela thanked me for letting her know that my father, who seriously damaged both of us, is dead. And we weren't speaking because I'm the dead sister that she declared dead, but I felt it was important to instruct her that David had died because he tortured her a fair bit as a child, emotionally and probably physically as well, and I felt she deserved to know that. She can have her closure too. It won't make me want contact with her. She was yet another abuser. But at least I can do the right thing and give her a measure of peace. Part of me wants to scream, where's my peace? They never gifted me any fucking peace, the bastards. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I chose to be the better person and give her that gift, because we all deserve to know our enemies are off this planet and can't hurt us anymore, and we deserve to know that history is finally a closed last page of a sordid chapter, and you never have to ever deal with those bastards ever again. So it's a good feeling when that happens. Very good feeling, by the way. Doing the right thing by my family of origin bloody hurts, but that is my path. I stand up, tearing off my hair shirt with bloodied knees and with a scarred heart and a mind delusional with grief and horror, and I scream, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord," because in many, many ways those evil bastards don't matter anymore. I am free. Oh, how Daddy absolutely feared my vengeance. It has never fully manifested. Life, the great teacher, brings the mighty and the cowed to the dust of the earth and ploughs us as equals into the ground. Levellers, have no fear. Karma is real. Love is real. Peace that comes from watching one's abusers be smited one by one in only a span of 9 years. So welcome and so beautiful. Well, they weren't really smited. They died of old age. So there is that. But let me have my poetic license. Sometimes it's all I've got left. My poetic, noetic license. Thank you, God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, for hearing my prayers and blessing me with your great, abundant love, raising me high on your shoulders so I could see the end of my story and the tying up of loose ends and the natural justice. Forgive my fury, my pain, my shame and degradation, my inability to thrive, and bless me and all those seriously good, kind people who loved me and kept me alive and sustained me on a milk and honey cocktail, Jack Daniel's libations, of hope, who inspired me to live another day, another decade, and whom were also inspired by my determination to find my tribe, to be loved, know love, and give love in a world gone mad and rotten that is slowly being healed and ascended into a new paradigm of bliss for all our inhabitants. Evil shall never win while we turn our hearts and minds to love and walk our walks, limping, dragging, but with nobility and sanctity, so bright and beautiful that evil dare not even look at us, but will shrink in the shadows, and even there we will cast it out and drag one by one the lost, lonely, and broken, and shine the light of their intrinsic, beautiful, highest self, so they too can be free. Ha ha ha, my daddy wanted me to be a guru when I grew up. How am I doing? Lol. Today is the yahrzeit anniversary of my grandmother Eva's suicide. She died in 1949. This is living proof, although I came close a few times myself, that you should never let the bastards grind you down. The once young, handsome man that is my half-sister's father, that told Eva to hurry up and do it, is now 90. He passed away when he was 97. But he had to live with that vicious comment for the rest of his life. In fact, only a few years later, the mother of his twins also killed herself. She actually threw herself in front of a train. We are all held accountable for our cruelties in this life or the next. Yes, I come from a long line of lunatics, narcissists, psychopaths, and double whammy narcopaths, which is narcissist sociopaths. But they were created that way by abuse, wars, poverty, rape, torture, and hatred. So I got lipstick everywhere. No excuse for bad behaviour. There really is no excuse for that bad behaviour. But I can comprehend their life choices, even if I would not want to exemplify them. May all my former family of origin find peace, and may they never return to me in future incarnations by the will of God, as I am so tired of their evil, selfish bullshit. Amen. V'salah. My mind and body has been so exhausted. Last night I went to bed at 10ish but awoke at 3 a.m. so crystal clear that I lay in bed and read articles on Facebook until 4:30 a.m, then passed out again. I woke at 10 a.m. this morning. Wow. Am I finally blossoming into a productive person? Dare I even hope so? Time will tell. I have slipped and fallen a million times into that black hole, gravelly abyss of depression, complex PTSD, and interminable grief. But soon I will have a life I always prayed for. A comfortable, happy life, a safe life. Then I will have to put the ghosts of my past to bed with silver bullets and 9-inch wooden spikes. But it will happen. Bring me my brooms, sisters and brothers. For tonight and every night we ride on storms, into sunsets, on dewy dawns of crystalline promise, on a wish and a prayer. Mustang quays will gallop across the sky. We have so much light to spread, so much joy. Midwives to the middle-aged Middle-earth folk, come away with us, leave the porky, forked-tongued orcs behind in our dust, and laugh. Wise words from a strong woman on International Women's Day. Audrey Hepburn, nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I'm possible. Yes, indeed, my darling. Nothing truly is impossible. With true lovers and true friends and a truly supportive, nurturing, protecting community at your back, front and sides, you can achieve anything you ever dreamed about. But it takes a village to raise a child, and it took an entire city to raise a complex PTSD survivor like me. But by the gods, we've made it. We've made it this far, and we can go on, even in these dark, turgid, harrowing, terrifying times. We can continue the wild shamanic dance and the mosh, and we continue to grow our hearts, minds, bodies back from every desecration, heartache, desolation. We can continuously evolve into the people we were always destined to become. Noble, wise, wild, free, and triumphant, and so joyous, and so full of love and light, and surrounded by other souls equally full of love and light and courage and decency. That's what I'm wanting from my world. How about you? Here I share another meme. Unfuck yourself. Be who you were before all that stuff happened that dimmed your fucking shine. In other words, tap into your true nature, your most noble, truest, courageous, powerful self, and live without compromise and without being literally dimmed by the malfeasances of our age. And interestingly, I posted those back in 2017. Mama T, as always, a little bit precognitive, the canary down the mine. Hold your own, people. Hold the line. Hold each other precious. Never ever let the bastards grind you down. Mama T has spoken. 8th of March 2016. Today marks the yahrzeit of my grandmother Eva Augusta Meyer's suicide in 1949. I never met her, but her imprint loomed large in my life. My mother's stories of her own mother's violence towards her, yet her acts of valour and insane bravery, as I described before, throwing bread and wurst to the prisoners in a holding camp in Hamburg, keeping a radio tuned to the BBC in their third-story apartment, her friendships with a famous Jewish opera singer and other Jewish people, owning a tiny Chanukiah, which is the eight candle menorah that we light at Hanukkah, or 9 candles because you light an extra one to light the other 8 days with. When I first converted to Judaism, my mother bought me my silver-plated Chanukiah, which frankly needs replating. Polished it up and it won't polish anymore, so I have to find a way to get it replated. I'm sure there's someone that will do that. Probably be hellishly expensive, but oh well. She bought it in a wholesaler where she bought much of her china. She said it reminded her of the little one that Eva had owned. Eva was an elegant, sophisticated, beautiful woman. She gleaned food from edges of farmers' fields and took my mother mushrooming, which was her favourite thing of all to do with her mother, was when they used to gather up the mushrooms. She preserved all the fruit they gleaned, which was pretty much everyone did that in Germany in those days because of years of poverty, and they didn't have the convenience stores like we have now, right? She loved to cook, was a capable sewer, made her own lingerie, both brasiers and corsets, which corsets are quite difficult to make, people. So she was very talented. My mother's earliest memory was rocking herself in the Singer sewing machine cover, which was placed upside down on the floor while Eva sewed. She was about 2. Eva was born in the Charité Hospital in Charlottenburg, Berlin on the 19th of January, 1896. So I was wrong on both counts earlier. I thought it was 1894 or 1898. Oh, well, there you go. 1896. She was illegitimate. I think her father may have been Jewish, but I can't prove that because the father's not listed, and the religion that was put down was Evangelisch, which means Lutheran. So if the papers were doctored or if, I can't prove, but anyway. Her Polish mother had to work off her own confinement in the hospital, the fate of many poor unmarried women. Her mother later married and had more children, but Eva was already an adult at that time. I don't know the names of the husband or children, only the surname Bloch or Bloch with a CH. My grandmother cut ties to her mother at that time. My Polish great-grandmother visited Eva and my mother, Gisela, during her childhood. She spoke only Polish and frustrated my mother inordinately by knitting woolen stockings which itched her skin like crazy. There was always tension between mother-daughter, so Gisela dreaded her grandmother's visits. This must have set a pattern in our own lives as well. Due to the custom of the times and due to her lack of a proper education, also her mental health issues, trauma and aggravated depression, Eva never worked, which was common in those days that women didn't go to work. My grandfather Erich supported her and Gisela. My grandmother was a heavy smoker, which aggravated my mother's asthma, who hated smoking and never smoked. I was raised to never smoke, especially with my weak lungs, but my half-sister was also a heavy smoker. She had a habit of blowing the smoke deliberately into my face, and when I would start coughing and choking, would hit me in the face and tell me not to be such an actress. My half-sister Angela was abusive too. I sometimes bum cigarettes from friends, as very occasionally I enjoy a smoke. Maybe my two grandmothers are around me then, or maybe it is my tiny rebellion against my mother. Who knows? Both my grandmother and grandfather smoked like chimneys and suffered tuberculosis, from which Erich died on the 12th of April 1945, just before the war ended in Germany. 20 years later, I was born on that day, my half-sister being born on the 13th of April 1950, 5 years and 1 day after his yahrzeit. So it's a bit astonishing, the confluence and the repetition of dates in our family history, even being born on the same dates, and it's quite astonishing at times. Here's a photo of Keita. It was spelt with an A umlaut, so I spelt it K-A-E-T-E. Keita and Rudolf Hacker. Or Hacker? Hacker. Keita and Rudolf Hacker, I think. Opera singers who died in an air raid in 1943. Friends of Erich and Eva Meyer. And this would have been taken in the 1920s, judging by the lovely dress she had on. So, in memory of you, my darlings. I'm wondering now though, if they did die in an air raid shelter, or if I got that wrong because they were Jews, they would have more than likely have been put in a concentration camp and would have died there. So I think that little snippet of information is not quite correct. But they were indeed famous opera singers in Germany before the war. And Mum told me that there was I think it was another couple of opera singers that were friends of my grandparents who Hitler ordered, because the wife was Jewish. I wonder if that might have been this couple though. Anyway, the wife was Jewish and the husband was not Jewish, German. I mean, they were all German in Germany. This was why the Holocaust was such a shock to the Jewish population, because they considered themselves as equal German citizens, right? Had always been treated that way until the rise of Nazism. But anyway, Hitler ordered this couple to get a divorce, that the only way, because they were so very famous, the only way they could survive was he had to divorce the wife, and she was sent to London, England, and sat out the war there. But I think that might have been another couple, because I've marked here that this couple died in 1943. So anyway, we'll carry on. But yeah, imagine being forced to divorce your wife because she's a Jew. A lot of that went on in Nazi Germany. It was just awful. and if you were refused, you went in the concentration camp with your husband or wife. I saw a wonderful movie about that, one wife fighting to stay with her husband. He was held by the Gestapo and about to be put in a camp, and she stood outside that Gestapo offices for 3 days and 3 nights, and all these other people came to support her. Eventually they let him go, but I don't know if it ended up that he survived the war, if he was still sent to a camp. I can't remember that. But anyway, it was incredibly brave, and it was an incredibly poignant moment watching that movie. I thought, what if more people had been brave like that and just said, no, you're not taking my husband. It's just incredible. Where was the bravery during our COVID epoch with this? Where was that bravery? Thin on the ground. Totally astonished. It still blows my mind that no one fought back. Almost no one. But me, with my armchair activism on all social media, I fought with words every day, and but not enough to save our populations. At least I can lie in bed at night knowing that I was one of the few to say no. Here's a photo of my grandfather, Erich Meyer. You can see here, looking very gaunt and ill. He wore double thick, bottle thick glasses because he lost his vision after surviving mustard gas in the trenches in World War One. And yes, very ill he looks there. Probably it was shortly before his death. Gisela Meyer and her mother Eva Augusta Meyer, née Kissau. Kissau would have been her mother's maiden name since she was illegitimate. And my grandmother there, you can see her perfect tiny little figure. It's how she kept herself at all times, smoking 2 packets a day even during the war when they're on food rations and they'd get a ration of butter. My grandmother would swap it for cigarettes. That's how addicted to smoking she was. And the hat she's got on is a very typical folk Bavarian style hat with the red pompons on top. And she was extremely elegant but extremely vain, my grandmother. I'll just show you the shoes. She's wearing flat brogue type shoes there. Walking shoes. I guess it's where we all inherit, my mother and I, the beautiful shaped legs from Eva. Erich and Eva Meyer strolling with some friends who were opera singers. So, I really like that photo. I like that gentleman on the end being a bit of a clown, striking a bit of a silly pose. This probably was taken before the war, people. Looks like it's from the early 30s. The Charité Hospital, which is now a hotel in Charlottenburg, Berlin, where my grandmother was born, and her poor Polish mother had to work off her confinement, cleaning and I suppose being a nurse's aide as well, till she had her baby. Hotel Mercure. Betcha that building's quite fucking haunted too. Would be quite bizarre to be staying in that, I would think. It's amazing that it's still in existence though, isn't it? And apropos of nothing, just as a segue, my pond is now so clear I can see the gemstones on the bottom. Woohoo! And yes, I love my goldfish pond. I love looking at my fish. And I love having the sound of tinkling water in my garden. It's beautiful. Brings me a lot of joy. I've got some more photos of my fish pond, but I won't keep on about that. But yes. 8th of March 2015. I'm very tired after a great weekend. I do feel quite sad that I'm destined to be single for the rest of my life. However, being alone is preferable than living with a person who doesn't love, respect, or care for or about me. I chased the dream of a happy partnership for many years now. It is liberating to know I can go to Byron or out to the casino or anywhere and have a wonderful time with people I meet or with friends. I have been through hell in my life, especially in recent months. Lots of fake holograms pretending to like me while stabbing me in the back or face. Pardon me. Slowly, I'm discovering who are real in my life and getting back my equilibrium. I think I will be okay in the end. If not, then some things come down to destiny. I'm glad I went to Byron. My rego expires on the 12th of March, so I will have to rely on public transport until May when my next advance is due. Jesus. This is how I live, people. Just stretched out on the thinnest thread to the last fucking vestige of hope until the next little bit of buffer comes along and floats me along for a little while longer. I'm so sick of living this way, by the way. I really am. It's soul destroying and bone crushingly awful, but what can I do? No one pays me for my talents and it is what it is. It's kind of disgusting in a way, but what else can I do? Just keep living this bloody weird existence until the day comes that I die. Or a miracle happens that I win lotto or something, or some beautiful man comes along and says, "You're my woman and I'm going to take you on even with your poverty." Well, that's not going to happen, is it? That's a fairy story. But anyway, I live the way I live, free and happy as much as possible given my circumstances. And there's no shame in my game, and I'm proud of who I am, and it is what it is. It won't kill me to park the car up for 2 months, just frustrating. I could sell it, but then I would never be able to afford another car, so I must be practical. Yesterday was the 5th anniversary of Gisela's death. I can't say I miss her. She managed to derail my train of life so perniciously that I still can't think of her without pain and anxiety. Today is the yahrzeit of my grandmother Eva. She left an indelible mark upon my own mother, a part of the intergenerational trauma. I had a wonderful weekend. It took 5 years to come out from Giesler's mushroom cloud. A long, long time. I have eliminated 2 more toxic people from my life, 20 years of friendship each. After 3 weeks, the radiation of their hatred and envy and callow disrespect is finally dissipating. Immersing myself in my true spiritual mikveh, the sea at Byron Bay, has rejuvenated my soul, body and mind, and I need to go there soon actually. Been talking about it for 2 years, I still haven't gone. It's only 2 hours drive there and 2 hours drive back. I need to get off my ass and take myself there, since no one else has taken me there. Can't rely on other people. Gotta live your best life, people. Maybe when I get my advance in May, I'll use some of that money to take a drive down, have a day trip and immerse myself in the sea, although it'll be cold by May. But anyway, Mama T will find her way. Mama T will sashay away. Mama T will hold her sway. And Mama T will get to live and love and sing and dance and swim in the ocean at Byron Bay another day. Mama T has spoken. Thank God, Goddess, for places of power, bliss and healing. I'm fortunate to have found my Zen zone and recalibrated my meridians. Life is a constant flow, new places, new life, new people, new opportunities to love and be loved by manifestations of the universe. Perhaps one day I will live surrounded by so much genuine, requited, blissful love that my family of origin barely blip on my radar of consciousness, even though without them I would not be the woman I am today. I can be grateful for their building my character, tearing me to shreds and forcing me to come back from the brink of death and insanity so many times that I became stronger, more loving, wiser and better than ever, honed like steel. I have the strike marks to show for it, but oh, how I shine, a backhanded gift from my tormenting dementors. What doesn't kill you? I can hear all the bones creak in my neck from moshing and oh well. What doesn't kill you doesn't kill you. Makes you fight for your place on this planet, for your right to live a full, happy and safe life. Zero tolerance for assholes. Here I share a photo of a mermaid, or a woman dressed like a mermaid actually. When you look at it closely, it's just a sheet kind of drifting wrapped around her body. Quite beautifully done. I must be a mermaid. I have no fear of depths and a great fear of shallow living. Anais Nin. I hear you, sister. Here I share another meme. Let it go. Whatever someone has done to you is going to be attracted right back to them at some point. Oh dear Goddess, I certainly hope so. You are not involved in this process. It's simple law of attraction. Stop carrying it around and let the universe take care of it. Good, bad, or indifferent. Their stuff, their lesson. And I wrote, true, not my circus, not my monkeys. In the words of Melissa Etheridge, I came here to let you know the letting go has taken place. Beautiful song, beautiful voice, beautiful soul. I share another meme. I will not comply. I will not lie down. I will not go quietly. I will not submit. I will not roll over. I will not shut up. Written by Sue Fitzmaurice, author. 8th of March 2014. Desire is literally my middle name. En français, Desiree. I've been desired, desirable, and I've even desired others a few times. So far, no luck. I am the cosmic butt joke of love, something my half-sister already knew when she named me after Napoleon's friend, one-time lover and mentor and fiancé's first fiancé, Desiree Clary, who ultimately became the Queen of Sweden. My heart is still set on accomplishing its desires. True love and partnership, freedom and a life of comfort. I'm happy with my freedom though. I fought long and hard for that. And when I die, I want to still be able to say, I lived free. That was in response to a meme I posted that says, by Rob Hill Sr., desire. Your will creates the way. It's all about how bad you want whatever it is you say is for you. 3 things separate you from the pack. Your desire to know better, your will to do better, and your determination to be better. Don't ever don't ever give them a reason to question whether or not you deserve it. That dream, that love, that peace, it's all yours to have, and the way you work will decide if it's yours to keep. Found that very inspiring and heart-centered and beautiful. From the Desiree, the desired one, who never got it right up until even date, but I'm sensing a dramatic shift in my consciousness, in my heart, mind, body and spirit. And I know my truly loving man is very, very near to me indeed. Don't know who he is yet. He hasn't made an open declaration. Well, one kind of has, but don't know what that was about since he's married. But anyway, maybe he's a precursor, a way shower, a milestone, kind of I can't explain it, a precursor showing me that the one is on his way to me in the near future. Sometimes life is like that, lights up souls to light you up so that when the right man comes along, you're ready and can trust and accept it with open heart and open mind. And it is a bit like that sometimes. Another meme I shared. I'm at that awkward stage between birth and death. And I wrote, life be in it. Smiley face. Here I continue. I'm feeling a little depressed. Must be the schmaltzy music I'm listening to in a chat room in Paltalk. Grr. I dance so wildly, even in pain in my tootsies, that I'm probably just a tad exhausted. Time to buckle up my boots and shoulder my corset or nice dress again, as I am going out for a friend's birthday bash, seeing all my beautiful friends having fun dancing and being wild is the best mood booster ever. 5:11 a.m. I've had a delicious shower to wash off sweat, makeup and pub spillages. Ooh. My feet are in terrible pain, but the shoes were smoking hot, lol. When will I learn to wear sensible shoes? I had a lovely time though. One sweet man even, gasp, horror, bought me 2 Jack Daniels in bottles. He was very shy but generous, and even more surprising, didn't hit on me. Well, you could knock me down with a feather. He comes from Bundaberg, obviously raised to be a sweetheart, a rarity. And that man is Steph, who I mentioned in earlier readings, has come up in memories in recent readings, who had bright red hair that he would wear and longish hair that he would wear in kind of a man bun, always pulled to the back. He loved to dance with me, but was always always poking the bear, like, when are you going to get off your cross, Tanya? When are you going to come back to Irish Murphys, Tanya? He was always giving me the dead needle, right? So I got a bit sick of that in the end. But that was the personage that bought me 2 Jack Daniels and was very shy but generous and didn't hit on me. Later on he did hit on me, of course, because he's a man after all, but, It's kind of funny that I mentioned him here. Because immediately when it said he comes from Bundaberg, I knew who it was, right? The chappie that was wooing me 2 weeks ago was there too. He kept away though. Smart guy. I abhor game players and time wasters. Pity, as I had hoped he might have potential, but alas, no. And by that, I know that we're talking about Dave, who I did indeed fall deeply in love with for no reason that makes any logical sense to any human being on this planet, not even me. But dear goddess. So there we have it. I had fun dancing with my women friends So that is the main thing. Having fun and letting the men work themselves out, not our problem. Here's a photo of what I was wearing that night for my wild, joyful dance. And yeah, nylon corsets tend to make all your fat kind of spill out at the seams like that, which is why I upgraded to proper steel bone corsets. But I still look kind of cute there, even so. And you can't see it, but that dress, that skirt had was a very full skirt with many frills, and I I actually wore my bridal petticoat underneath it, which was designed to make skirts look crinoline and push it right out. So I looked lovely, if I say so myself. In my own dreaming, I looked lovely. Anyway, home safe, awesome night, rocked out with Jabba and my favourite girls. I feel great, footsore but great. And Jabba is a band that play often at Irish Murphys, and anyway, we won't go there. I fell out with the leader of that band over his disgusting things he was calling out at the end of each night, which I thought was foul and inappropriate, given we women don't deserve to be spoken to like shit like that. So I stopped supporting his band after that. But Sol, that played in Jabba, I think he was the bass guitarist, was a very decent man. But yeah, Nathan and I fell out. I haven't spoken to him since. I wouldn't even know what he looked like now anyway. Haven't seen him in years. But yes, I used to support that band. And I also supported Burst, that played at Irish Murphys. And I still support Ramjet and Alter Egos because they used to regularly play at the casino. And yes, so it was actually quite lovely. I had lots of wild times back in 2014 dancing wildly, and I kept it up all the years. 11th of March. 8th of March 2013. I feel frustrated and kind of depressed. No money, worry, worry, worry. I had a good long sleep today, went to bed at 4 a.m, was wide awake by 9 a.m, chatted on Paltalk until 10 p.m. Was it 10? I must have meant 10 a.m. Went back to sleep but was woken up by my lawnmower men, so I had to move the car in my dressing gown. Lol. They're probably wondering why I was still in my dressing gown at 10 o'clock in the morning, right? Or 11 o'clock or whatever time they wake me up. Anyway, sometimes that happens like that. I don't bother to get out of bed because if I don't feel well, fuck it, you know. I went back to bed after moving the garden furniture, I was moving the furniture for the lawnmower men, but woke up every 2 hours exhausted. Slept until 4:30 p.m. Now I want to play and go out and run amok, but can't. So might as well keep cleaning, I guess, although I lost the impetus for that, lol. Shabbat shalom, you all. Comment from my Auntie Sylvia, Mrs. Sylvia Shine, who was one of my motivating and inspiring and encourage mother figures. Money is the root of all evil. Believe me, sweetie, you sure ain't the only one that ain't got any. So at least pick yourself up, go and have a nice dance and a little drop of that drink you like, and forget all your troubles. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Isn't she gorgeous and delightful? How she used to encourage and motivate and indeed cherish me. Imagine if I'd had a mother like that, who I could have become. I can't bear to think about it. It's too distressing to think what I was robbed of, right? But here in 2013, I had real women who loved me dearly, and I still have real women who loved me dearly. I'm waiting for my friend Lynn to arrive this afternoon for a visit. And I'm grateful for my beautiful friends. I truly am. Every day, every way. Here I post a meme, not trying to make anyone jealous, but you have to be Jewish to get this joke. My car is ready for Pesach. It's how we kosher our kitchens for Passover. Cover everything in aluminium foil. I don't know who invented that minhag, but anyway. I replied, "Oi, mine isn't. I got permanent Pesach blues. All holidays depress me. Shmeh, life goes on. Living la vida secular helps, but only slightly. No Jewish man will touch me, 'cause I am a free spirit, and no goy will touch me, 'cause I am a Jew and a free spirit." Lol. So it's kind of comical there. Long day today, felt like moving through sludge. I had a nice time with Jared, however. He gave me some duckweed and gudgeons for the back ponds. I'm stressed about money as usual. I find this very emotionally draining. Tonight, midnight, I have finally vacuumed the floors, changed my bedding, and cleaned the loo. It's not much, but a start to regaining control over my messy house and sense of doom. Clean house, clean mind, smiley face. And my house was cleaned yesterday, but my cleaning lady was off her head yesterday. She spent most of the time on her phone dealing with some message she was getting from NDIS, totally got nothing to do with sorting my house. I thought about getting angry about it, but then I thought, you know what, in the broad scheme of things, we all have our off days. She's a lovely woman and I don't really care, you know. But anyway, she was not with us yesterday. My sweet little one was not with us. Anyway, as long as the house the basics get done. I noticed she didn't mop the bathroom floor, and she did vacuum. I think she mopped the kitchen and the hallway floors, but for some reason she keeps not mopping the bathroom floor, which kind of annoys me. I have to get in and do half the job myself. But anyway, I'm sort of thinking maybe if I will stop getting the assistance for cleaning and just do my own cleaning, because very often I'm having to go in and do the job again, which is annoying, quite annoying. But I'm very fond of Rati. I do love her, like she's a lovely woman. So it's not a reflection on her as a person. I guess it's just people are just overwhelmed and tired and, you know. Anyway, I'm thinking about it. I definitely still need the help with the lawn mowing though, no matter what. That definitely has to be done. But yes, I'm still tossing up what I'm going to do about the cleaning. It's nice to have help with cleaning, and it's also nice to have a friendly face come once a week to check on me, that make sure I'm not dead in my bed from sleep apnea, right? Here's a photo of a beautiful orchid. So it is lovely. 2012, that bloomed. 8th of March 2011, disgruntled with GPs in general. I went to the endodontist at Kingston yesterday, so my sore tooth has been finished off. Jesus. That was a hell on earth, that was. Really bad. So that was one good thing. I'm extremely upset and disturbed by my new GP's attitude towards me this afternoon. I'm so disgusted, I'm thinking about complaining to the Health Rights Commission. Quite frankly, I should have gone through with that, by the way. They don't do anything, but at least the complaints mount up over time. As it's fucked as what's been going on with doctors, not just in the COVID epoch, but back even 2011, I was struggling to get a proper doctor give me proper treatment. This is my third doctor in the past 5 years, and they are so aggressive and rude to me. I can't help feeling this is because I'm a disability pensioner and I have to be bulk billed. I wonder if they would dare speak to me so rudely if I paid in cold, hard cash. Now I will need to find yet another new doctor. I'm thinking I'm running out of doctors in Brisbane. Do any of them actually abide by the Hippocratic Oath after they have been in practice for a while? Or do they think it's okay to abuse disenfranchised, poor and sick females? Question mark. of March 2000. It's a big jump, but I shared this for a reason, even though it's quite personal and raw and difficult. The reason I mention it is I wrote it in italics. I'll read it to you. Bad day at work. I cried a lot again over trivia. Was severely traumatized people, very triggered all the time. Jerry gave me a rose because he felt sorry for me. I fell out of the academy bus when Clive took me to the mechanic to collect my car. I got home, had a nap. Those two sentences I wrote in italics because there's a whole story around that falling out of the academy bus. Something supernatural lifted me up and turned me mid-air and deposited me back on my feet. I was falling forwards, seeing the edge of the curb where I knew, given my height, that I was going to split my head open on the curb and potentially die. And in that nanosecond I thought, oh dear God, I can't die like this. Who will protect and look after my children? So we were living under serious threat even back in 8th of March 2000, right? And in that nanosecond, that brief moment, I was wearing very high, elegant Spanish, beautiful high-heeled shoes. I lifted myself up and turned around and landed facing into the bus, turned 180 degrees into the bus. And Clive turned to me and said, how the hell did you do that? And I said, I don't know, but I wasn't going to crack my head on the pavement, on the curb. Please don't tell anyone, I said. I don't know how I did it. Something must have literally lifted me up and turned me. Because I'm not a gymnast and I'm not an athletic person, so I don't have gymnastic skills. But by the gods, that was miraculous that day. And I'd already had a bad day at work crying, so there you go. it's a bit astonishing. That was a very weird day that day. I'd actually been on a course at the headquarters learning Excel, and all the young people, the younger staff, all buggered off. I was the only one left to get driven back to pick up my car at the end of the day. Well, I asked Clive if he would drop me at the mechanic to pick up my car, which he kindly did, and that's when I was descending the steps to alight from the academy bus when I fell. Anyway, after the nap, I woke up and rang David. That would be David Davidson, my former lover, the homeopath, psychopath that he was, the bastard. I asked him why he didn't send the remedies. I was having an anxiety attack and needed the homeopathic remedies he'd put me on. In those days, I wasn't on psych meds. He'd actually insisted I go off them, and he was going to give me remedies to cure me, right? Cure me, my ass. Couldn't even provide me with the remedies when I needed them. Fucking control freak is what he was, the cunt. But anyway, here I write. I told him, I'm the woman you used to stoop between girlfriends, and you can't even give me some lousy remedies. I told him, don't you think I'm good for the $5? He said, they've gone up, GST. I said, I suppose they have. This is how we used to talk to each other, really wry and ironic and sarcastic. As I said, he had a brilliant mind, but he was a psychopath, and I was on to him most of the time, by the way. Anyway, he wanted me to go over to pick them up. I said, what for? So you can abuse me and slam the door in my face? I don't grovel and beg to anyone anymore. A simple yes or no would suffice. You owed me at least the professional courtesy of returning my call and telling me, rather than making me chase after you. You're just a man. Who do you think you are? He said, you're always in the area. He kind of left that long ellipse after. In other words, he just wanted to fuck me. Every time he saw me or heard my voice, all he could think about, right, was fucking me, because he was a low-level entity with no couth or honour. So, yes, I made a point of leaving that ellipse at the end. You're always in the area. Like he was some great fucking god, right? Well, the motherfucker had to haunt me when he died. Wanted closure. Wanted my forgiveness. Probably still wanted to fuck me as a dibbook. I wasn't going to let him in my front door. I said, I don't have the time. I work full time, remember? I'm busy now, and I made a very reasonable request for you to send me the remedies. Anyway, he got angry and hung up on me, because he really was just a fucking man-child, and a man-whore, by the way. Oh well, it was worth it. When I mentioned how he used me for sex, he said, more abuse, foul language. I said, I am merely representing the facts of life as they are. He said, the status quo. I said, the reality of the situation between you and me. There's no abuse intended. That's what it was. Maybe now I can let go. And I recorded that for a reason, and I'm sharing that even though it's painful for me personally, for a reason. Not quite sure what that reason is, but it's there, it's out there, it's on Vocal Media, it's now shared with YouTube, that you can see why I'm uncompromising about letting arseholes into my life, because that was the level of arsehole that actually tried to kill me at one point in time that I was dealing with back in 2000. And in truth, I didn't let go of the love I had for that creep. I didn't let go until sometime in 2001. And even then, the pain stayed with me for quite some time after. I was in quite deep pain after that relationship ended. Till about 2004, 2003, 2004, it finally seeped out of me. And then I didn't really think about him anymore or let him take up much space in my mind until he haunted me when he died in early June. He died on 22nd of May 2016, but I didn't know that, of course, because I had no contact with it. But that Dubuk haunted me for 4 consecutive nights from 3rd of June until the 8th of June, I think it was. That's 5 days. But anyway, it was around about that time period. It was 4 consecutive nights. He ran up my front steps and smashed on my front door. And even the dog was terrified. And on the 3rd day, I put out a prayer to the Holy One in all manifestations. Can you tell me who the spirit is that's banging on my door? It's getting a bit annoying and I don't even know who it is, so what's the point? It's pointless. And the following day I was reading through, as I used to do every day, on something on Facebook, and in a rather mysterious, miraculous way stumbled across a eulogy that his son, Shammai Davidson, had written under the name Shammai Jacob on Facebook. And how I found that name was he had posted put a like on a comment I had written on Facebook, which was astonishing. Also meant that they were actually reading all my stuff on Facebook, which is kind of weird given I hadn't spoken to his father in, at that point in time, 16 years, right? Well, 15 years or so. So I saw this name, Shammai Jacob, and I thought, Shammai? I know someone called Shammai, but it's Shammai Davidson, and it's the little boy, the son of David Davidson. So I freaked out, naturally, as you would, given that I was being haunted for 3 previous nights by some entity. I didn't know who it was. So I was already kind of in a very freaked out kind of state. And anyway, so I saw this name and I thought I might just look at his profile, see who he is, just out of curiosity. And the first thing that came up when I clicked on his profile was a photo of his father, aged about early 20s, but I recognised him immediately. I thought, my God, that's David Davidson. This must be his son, one of his sons. And their mother was named Tanya as well, which is weird. So, but, you know, I did know them as little boys. Davidson did bring them to visit me, and at least one occasion they came to my home. And and of course I saw them at his home when I visited him occasionally. And anyway, so I thought, my God, how is this even possible? So I thought, well, there's a reason why I'm being shown this. I'll scroll down and I'll read what's in his profile. So I scrolled down, you know, a page or so on the Facebook, and there, for all the world to see, was Shamai Davidson's eulogy to his father. And it was a cathartic, healing, and deeply, deeply traumatizing, but also cathartic, healing thing for me. Because in the eulogy, as I read through it assiduously, Shamai mentioned, "My father was a brilliant man, but he could indeed be a dangerous man at times." Just that one sentence, "My father could be a dangerous man at times," was quite an aggrandised eulogy about how wonderful his daddy was, as we do with our disturbed, fucked up parents. I mean, I've got pages and pages of, at times, aggrandising my own monsters, right? So I get why he did that. It's a matter of honour and of pride too. You know, you don't want to think your parents were complete fucking psychopaths and dead shits. You want to have some happy memories to cling to. Otherwise, you struggle to find meaning in, why did I even choose these people as my parents in the first place, right? According to some spiritual philosophies, we choose our parents. Well, I must have been on some long hangover or off my head that day in the spirit world when I chose mine. Motherfuckers that they were. But anyway, so I'm reading through this eulogy in deep kind of shock to have discovered who the spirit was that was running up my steps with what sounded like heavy military boots or policeman's boots and pounding on my door. And, the second night, again, the same thing, but the sound was a little bit more muted and it happened a little bit later in the night. And then again, the third night, the sound each time being a little bit more muted, less loud than the first night was so loud. I ran to the door and threw the door open, expecting a living person to be standing there. That's how loud it was. And Beauregard, who was still only a young dog at that time, looked at me in shock. I got such a shock I ran to the back door because my logical mind couldn't comprehend that it was a spirit. So I thought, they've probably got down the stairs and walked round the back and gone to the back door, which would have not been possible in the few seconds it took me to run to answer the door, right? So anyway, I ran to the back door, of course no one was there either, and then I looked at the dog and the dog was actually shaking. He obviously, as animals are, more clairvoyant, could see him. He'd never met David Davidson though, because, as I said, I hadn't spoken to him in 15 or so years. So, but Beauregard ran in with me to the front room here, and I just calmly went up, shut the door, said, "You shall not enter this house. It's heavily protected. Get out and go back to the light, whoever you are." And then, the following night, knocking again, you heard the sound of the boots running up the steps. Third night, and then so really on the fourth day when I found out that it was David Davidson via his son's eulogy on Facebook. I mean, how freaky is that? I never contacted the son because, they don't really know me, and it was so freaky it will freak them out, right? And I didn't feel it was appropriate. But anyway, so then the fourth night, round about 7 in the evening, I was actually lying on my bed, resting, reading a book, Beauregard lying beside me. Again, we heard, but very faint on the fourth night. It's like he'd lost all the energy, couldn't reproduce the loud sounds anymore, of footsteps coming up to the front door and a very faint knocking. And I looked at Beauregard and I just turned and I said, "I know it's you, Davidson. Go into the light. You're not welcome here. Stop coming. I don't forgive you. Just go and be at peace." And that's when it finally stopped. But it was bizarre. It was fucking bizarre. But anyway, yes, that day on the 8th of March 2000, I literally fell out of the police academy bus and turned myself around to save myself, because again, my last thought before almost dying was, what will happen to my daughters? They're not safe. So it's ironic that now I'm languishing in the shadowlands between my own life and death, struggling with my nerve signalling in my bladder every night, that when I said to my daughter in September last year, I think I'm going to die of this time. I think I'm fucked. I think this is it, kid. She was so savage and lashed out and said, oh, you're always dying, mummy, and I don't believe you unless you produce a letter from the palliative team doctor to say you're dying. And it was just so awful. I thought, do you know how many times I kept myself alive just for your sake alone? And when my time comes, you abuse and abandon me? Like, it's just so fucking evil. So maybe I would have been better off if I'd cracked my skull open that day in 2000, and maybe I would have been spared another 24 years of fucking horror, right? But here we are, alive, telling my story, my truth, my experiential awareness, and looking forward at long last to a beautiful life with my beautiful man that will come to me, and when he's ready, able and willing to be my partner at the appointed time, guided and protected by the Holy One in all manifestations, and by the archangels Gabriel, Michael, Uriel, Raphael, Chamuel, and Raziel, because I can't trust in human interactions and choices. I've had to call in the big guns to make sure that my next lover man will indeed be a loving, loyal, faithful, devoted, fun and happy and joyful, protective if necessary, supportive, encouraging, motivating, loving, affectionate, generous, true, loyal and faithful to me, with eyes only for me, intelligent, good communicator, honest, kind, lover man who's a wonderful lover, and chooses me from his own heart, body, mind and spirit. I'm asking the archangels and the Holy One to choose this person, by the way, and to show me in no uncertain terms that cannot be confused or denied or obfuscated or brushed aside. Show me who truly is deeply in love with me and worthy of my mana, my power as a woman, witch, shaman, Jew, psychedelic dreamer, who this man is, because even when he comes into my life, I'm going to have difficulty believing it, people, because look at the fucking train wreck that I survived in the last 24 years. So, and all my little internet paramours that get terribly excited by my videos, for I don't understand why. It's probably the boobs. Calm your farm, you're not the one. I'm sorry to say, but you're far, far away from me. I'm waiting for a real man in my real 3D reality who won't play sick, perverted, psychological games on the internet. So start that crap with me. It'll be very quickly sayonara, sweethearts. My videos are not a dating agency, and although I'm constantly praying and manifesting and calling upon the gods to bring me my real lover man who chooses me and I choose him for a deeply honouring, loving, requited relationship, by the way, I'm not looking for anyone on the internet, not on YouTube, not on Facebook, not on any other platform. You won't find me in dating apps, because I find those kind of things shallow and sordid and disgusting. You won't find me there, and I won't be looking for you there either. And maybe that limits my potentials of meeting a lovely man, but I don't think the kinds of men that trawl for women on dating apps are all that lovely, so there is that. I certainly won't be finding a man in the pubs and clubs either, because they're there just to hook up and get drunk and be lascivious. When they come over to me, they get just as quickly short shrift, because they're dealing with a warrior goddess who survived the most immense abuses perpetrated upon me since a very young child. So if they trigger me the wrong way, they get very short shrift. So that limits my potential to find my truly loving man too, and I'm well aware of that. And as my friend Scott and Alter Egos recently reminded me, you won't find a man in this club, Tanya. There's no real men here for you. So honest, painful, but true. So thank you, Scott, for that timely reminder. But you just never know. Every now and then, the gods send me someone lovely, and just because it hasn't happened yet that they've wanted a loving partnership with me. Well, look at my circumstances. Who wants a woman in housing commission and deep poverty on the disability pension? No one. So, I'm realistic. But anyway, you just never know. Miracles have been known to happen in my life before, like literally saving myself while mid-flight falling out of an academy bus. So if I can achieve that, technically, by the grace of the gods and the archangels, I could technically, in my weird, absurdist, psychedelic dreaming, even achieve a truly loving partnership with a wonderful man one day. So, don't sit there frottering on the end of the internet. Be kind and wish me luck and joy and bliss and my truest, greatest love. Amen. For Salah. And on that note, with a little mischievous grin, because even I think it's improbable, I bid you goodbye, my darlings. Have a beautiful day on planet Earth in the space-time continuum. And tonight, Mama T, the Tanya, Miss 5, the psychedelic dreamer, even Dulcie, we will be dancing. Bye for now.